You're listening to the Hella Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Hella Well with Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle Washington, and today is July 4th, also known as Independence Day. And if you're new here, this podcast is all about creating a wellness revolution for women of color to finally put on their oxygen mask on first and live the life they were meant to live and to thrive instead of just surviving. And on today, I know today is a big barbecue day. It's a big family picnic day. You know, I think of like Mary J. Blige. I think about the electric slide and all these different things that we do. I remember the days of eating ribs, you know, being here in the Bay Area. There's this thing called, or there used to be, I don't know what's going on this year due to COVID, but like there's this thing called Fam Bam. And you know, we hang out at Lake Merrick and everyone gets together. It's music, it's laughing. And it's just a beautiful time. But this time of the year always has me thinking, are we really free? Like, really think about it. Are we free? I'm being serious. Like, I know, yeah, you know, we can move around. We live in a country where, you know, our thoughts are relatively free and our movement's relatively free. We're not in theory enslaved. We're definitely not in physical enslavement, and we're not in physical prison. But are we really free? Yo, think about it. Like, I know, like, I love me some Beyonce, fellow Virgo. She sings, you know, she has a song with Kendrick Lamar talking about, you know, freedom. And it's a great song. It's catchy. I love singing along to it. I'm not about to play myself right now. But it's like, you know, we sing along to the song, but do we ever ponder the words or the true meaning of freedom? And I love a good definition. So, of course, you know, I looked up the word freedom in the dictionary and I want to see what exactly does it mean to be free according to Webster. I love Webster. Webster is like the bomb. All right. So according to Webster, it says freedom, the definition of freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or resistance. Makes you kind of say, am I really free here in America? Or just in life in general? The second part of the definition, because there's always a couple more in there, is absence of subjection to foreign domination or tyrannical. I'm botching this word like there's no other government. It's like a tyranny government. So, you know, when I think about that, you know, absence of subjection to foreign domination. And we're subjected to foreign domination all the time. The magazines are telling us how we need to be acting. Others say how we should be acting. You know, other people tell us, you know, how we should be living. You know, oh, you need to be doing this and da-da-da-da. And so I kind of feel like, you know, again, are we really free? And the other last definition was the state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. And I think the shoulds, like, and we just had a podcast episode on the shoulds. If you haven't heard that, go back. I think it's podcast episode 36, 37, 36. I think it's 36. It's like, you know, stop shitting all over yourself. And I think how we should on ourselves and other people in that judgment, that doesn't really lead us to be free. And in my opinion, I just feel like the way we live, we are enslaving ourselves. I mean, not even in society. We aren't physically enslaving ourselves. We are mentally, yeah, I guess so. And sometimes physically enslaving ourselves by the way we just live. And I want to be free. Freedom is something I've strived for all my life. I wanted, you know, I was that girl who blessed my parents because I don't know how they made it through. Being my parent, I do love them for that. But like I was that girl who in first grade went up to the teacher first day of school, and I was like, my name is Danielle Denise Washington, and I can say whatever I want because I have freedom of speech. I can go wherever I want to go because I have freedom to assemble, and you cannot beat me because it's against the law. And then went and sat down. Best believe, yes, I was in the principal's office several times because I wasn't free. I wasn't free to say what I wanted to say. I sure the heck wasn't free to go where I wanted to go. But they could not beat me. So that I had one thing going out of the three for me. But like I've always wanted to be free. I remember looking at Eyes on the Prize and seeing how, you know, my ancestors, and that's why I say, today is this country's independence, because in 1776, my ancestors weren't free. And so I don't really claim this as an Independence Day because we weren't free. And so when I think about looking at Eyes of the Prize and seeing my ancestors and others who look like me not being enslaved, being shackled to a boat, being whipped and being forced into, labor and all these different things, we weren't free. I even think, okay, freedom ended. And then you have, the Jim Crow eras where we're being lynched left and right. We still weren't free. And in today, 2021, we still aren't free. And so I really want to have a conversation about freeing ourselves and look at ways, how do we escape the concentration camp of our minds to live freely? And so I know today is supposed to be a good day, so I'm not going to make this podcast hella long. But I did want to have this conversation about, are we living free? Are we really free? Or is it an illusion? And I wanted to kind of challenge you to 15 ways. I've come up with, there was more than 15, but I was like, sis, this is going to be a short podcast, so we're going to keep it really light and simple because it is a holiday. And I want to talk about 15 ways you can free your mind right now. And so the first thing I wanted to say is, remember that life is a choice. Your actions are based on your choices that you make, the actions and thoughts that you choose to make. So even when you think you ain't making a decision, you're making a decision by not making a decision. When you're not choosing to live freely and to live authentically yourself, you're making a choice. So I want you to remember that no matter whatever you're doing, everything you're doing is a choice, and life is a choice. So be intentional about your thoughts and your actions and choose wisely. I also give yourself permission to feel what you feel. So oftentimes we aren't free to feel what we're feeling. Like I remember when I had like 6 people die in 1 year, and I had my business, I was taking care of my parents and all these other things, I felt like I wasn't free to grieve. I wasn't free to be angry. I wasn't free to be sad because I felt like I should be a certain way. I'd had my business, I had all these responsibilities. I didn't give myself the freedom and the permission to feel what I was feeling. So I hid my feelings. I started running from whatever I was feeling. And let's be real and keep it honest. You can run as far as you can. You could be the best athlete in the world. I was about to name some athletes, but I'm not going to go there. You could be the best athlete in the world, and you still can't run from your thoughts. You can't run from your feelings because they will catch up with you. And they'll catch up with you in such a way that will snatch you like a mama snatches a child who's about to run up on the streets. And I'm being serious about this, like, because when you try to run from your emotions and trauma and things that are going on in your life, it shows up in so many different ways. It shows up in your body. It shows up in high blood pressure. It shows up in obesity. It shows up in depression. It shows up in so many different ways that you ain't even paying attention. So when you think you're trying to run from those thoughts and those feelings, they still show up. And for me, when I was trying to run from my grief and all these different things, and it wasn't giving myself permission to feel whatever I was feeling at the time, it was showing up. I was being aggressive. I was being dismissive. And real talk, I lost some friends over this. Not because I was intentionally trying to lose friends and I was intentionally trying to be aggressive and all these different things. I just didn't realize in my hiding my feelings, it was showing up in another way that was not really conducive to the way I wanted to be showing up. And, people weren't really happy with that. It is what it is. So keep in mind that, you need to give yourself freedom and permission to feel what you're feeling. Because everything is going to show up. Everything comes to light one way or another. Whether it's your body, illness, relationships, it always shows up to light. So I wanted to really be clear on giving yourself permission to feel. It's okay to be not okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to, and that's another thing I always think about. Sometimes we hide being happy and joyful because we're around other people who are having a hard time. We're like, oh, I don't want to be insensitive, and, a lot of things are going on for other people. That doesn't negate that you're happy, that you're having a moment, that you want to celebrate. We often play small because we're worried about what other people are going through, and we don't feel what we are feeling. So give yourself permission, sis. I want you to just give yourself, be free to feel what you're feeling. The third, no, yes, the third one. I numbered these. I have a list. I numbered these because I'm like, I know me. I'd be like, what number was then? I don't really remember. So number 3 is forgive yourself. Yo, the freedom to forgive yourself and not hold yourself prisoner to past lessons. And I say past lessons because people think past mistakes, but mistakes are not mistakes, they are lessons. And being able to not like, oh my God, when I was not being free to feel what I was feeling, I acted in a way that, wasn't cool all the time. And for many years or months, I was holding myself prisoner to like, oh man, like I wish I did that differently, damn, I could have been better, and I should have known I was grieving. I would have showed up differently. And when I was able to free myself, to forgive myself and forgive and let go of the past lessons, the lessons I learned of learning how to live and be free to feel what I feel, when I was able to free myself and not be a prisoner of my past lessons, that's when I really started feeling free and gave myself grace and compassion. But when you aren't giving yourself grace and compassion, and you're holding yourself to you're holding on to that, I should have known better, that, I did this, I made this mistake, and I was wrong, I was stupid, I was this, and that. That's the shackles alone of that thought process, because you're constantly in your mind thinking about these things. That ain't freedom. That don't look like freedom. So being able to forgive yourself is such a beautiful freedom that I would love for y'all to just have. Another freedom that I really learned in the pandemic was letting go of unhealthy relationships. Even if it's like, especially if it's like someone, I think, I'm not saying my parents are unhealthy per se, but I'm saying like in relationships with family and, people we've been friends with for years, we feel like we need to hold on these relationships because, they're family, or we've been friends for years where they're almost like family, or, we feel like we need to hold on to these relationships for whatever reasons, whether it's intimate, platonic, or whatever. But when you are holding on to unhealthy relationships and trauma that goes with that, you ain't free. So I encourage you to let go of unhealthy relationships, set boundaries, healthy boundaries, and that, keep people in, sometimes arm's distance. Sometimes you need to let go of people and love them from a distance. And that's how you show yourself and live in a free state. Number 5 is striving to live outside of your comfort zone. And I love this one because this one is really important to me, because I feel like we need to be uncomfortable with discomfort. Like, seriously, make that a goal, to be comfortable with being discomfort, because there is no growth in your comfort zone. And we stay in these comfort zones, even if it's something where we don't like, comfort zone of like, I'm always struggling, but like I'm afraid to go out there and put myself out there and really make the money and live the life that I wanted, and like follow my dreams and be a clown. I'm not saying that's my dream, but like if that was my dream, like my dream was to be a clown, and I know I could be successful because I've been practicing at this for years. But if I'm living in my comfort zone, I'm like, well, I'm just going to be this accountant. I want to be a clown, or I want to be a comedian. Let's go with the comedian. It's probably a little bit more logical. I want to be this comedian. I'm funny as can be. I've been practicing. Everyone says I'm funny. I've done little things here and there, but I'm afraid to get out of my comfort zone. I'm afraid to really shine and get out there. You're not taking the risk. You're willing to live in this hell that doesn't mean it's a good hell, but it's the hell that and not willing to take the risk and, be comfortable with being discomfort. So I encourage you to make being comfortable with discomfort a goal, take a risk, learn something new, and start striving to live outside of your comfort zone on a regular basis. Number 6 is international travel. I know that sounds like, oh, is it free to live outside? Why? How is international travel free? Like adding a way to free. And the way I see international travel, I mean, I guess it could be other places in America too, but for me, international travel was one of the places I truly found my freedom. And I found my freedom to not see life as an America in the American box. Like, okay, once I was able to get outside of the box and realize, like, oh, okay, I can go to places where getting drugs and antibiotics and other things, I don't need to go to a doctor. Oh my God, this is like, there's other places that they just give you medication that you need. You don't have to go through these hoops and have these like crazy expensive insurances and go through all these different things to actually get medication. Oh wait, I can, live freely mentally a different way. Like, it's not, middle of the day siesta. What's that? Like, I learned so much about myself, and I freed my mind to be more open through travel. Travel is one of the best teachers. I always tell people to really learn about yourself, but learn about culture. And that was one of the ways I truly freed myself. And I usually like to travel in these times of the year because it also means freedom to me. It's freedom to explore. It's freedom to be me. It's freedom to see another culture and expand who I am as a person. And so that's why I always think international travel is one of the best ways to really be free. Another thing to think about, number 7, working on my numbers. Number 7 is seeing failure as a teacher. I talked about earlier as, mistakes not being mistakes, but they're actually lessons. I want you to see failure as a teacher. We're so afraid of being the fear of failing. We're enslaved to this fear of failing. We're like, oh, I can't do anything outside the box. I need to stay in that comfort zone because I'm afraid of failing. And, we're enslaved to this fear of failing so much that we don't take the time to live outside that comfort zone and to learn from our lessons and using failure as a teacher. So instead of letting your fear be your master, because basically that's what you're doing, is letting fear be your master, I want you to ask yourself instead, what did I learn from this experience? How can I take that lesson to the next adventure to increase my chance for success? And give yourself more of options. It's not this either and or black or white. Allow yourself to grow from these moments and not be enslaved to the fear of failure. Because I think we are. I think that's one of the biggest enslavements where we are not free, and why we aren't free is because we are enslaved to the ideal of failure. The other one is financial freedom. And this is one of those ones that kind of quasi trigger me because it's something I probably do need to work on myself. But one of those things, I'm not a financial person by any means necessary, because I'm actually one of those people who runs away from money. I just don't want to know about it. I don't want to know how much I have. I want to know how much I don't have, because it has always given me anxiety. But and I also have to say, one of the things is you need to know your money story. And I probably should have started that one. And what I mean by your money story is the story that you were told as a kid and what you learned as a kid about money. For me, my dad always said, we're rich, you're poor. We have money, but you don't. And the money story I was told as a kid was, everyone around you has money, you don't. So you need to back up, kid, because you ain't gonna ever be rich. You ain't gonna ever gonna be wealthy in that mindset because everyone else around you is wealthy. And also, my parents always love to say, money don't grow on trees. So it's like, okay, well, how do I grow this tree and all these other things? Like, I don't have the tree, so I guess I don't have it. And so that was the money story I was told. And that affected how I looked at money. That affected how I showed up when it came around money. That affected the fact that I had anxiety around money and figuring out what I had and didn't have because I was like, oh, well, in my mind, I was like, I wasn't meant to have it. And so I encourage you to investigate, what is your money story? Determine also, what does success mean to you? We're always chasing, to catch up and run up with the Joneses, but what does really success and wealth mean to you? And it's not about what other people are thinking. It's really about, and that's what financial freedom really means to me. What does success and financial wealth mean to me? And living off of that, figuring out what that is, and then being aware where you are now. You can't really get to where you want to be and have the financial freedom you want if you don't know where you are. And that's why that investigating that money story is so important. But also tracking your spending, tracking your credit. I didn't track my credit. I was just like, well, I had a bunch of friends in college who had like $20,000 worth of credit card debt. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to be them. So I don't want to be them. So I'm just not going to have credit cards. And that's how I'm not going to have credit card debt. Fast forward to later on in life, I didn't have any credit because I didn't have any credit cards. I didn't have anything that built credit because I wasn't thinking wisely about credit. I wasn't tracking the fact that I didn't have credit because I was like, at the time I didn't need it because I didn't need it. And when I did need it, I was like, oh crap, I don't have credit because I was so busy trying not to be in debt. I didn't realize that you needed credit. I think this whole thing about credit is crazy because it's like you have to be in debt to have credit, but you need to not be too far in debt. But that's the American system that I think, I don't know, I feel like we're going to be enslaved into that forever unless you get out another way. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But also get help. Like we don't want to talk about money. Money is one of those things like politics. People are like, oh, don't talk about money. It's a sensitive topic. And I think that we're so in our own shell, like we're so afraid to talk about money. And that was me. Like I was afraid to be like, well, I don't know anything about credit. But when I got help from one of my friends who knows everything about credit, I was like, oh, bet, thank you for being there. And I was happy that I was able to say, I have this problem. I needed an accountant. I need someone to help me with this. And when you're able to show up for yourself when it comes to your financial freedom, knowing what you want, knowing what is success to you, and asking for help, that's when you really are changing the game in terms of your financial freedom. That's my opinion. Number 9 is being honest with yourself. How often are you really honest with yourself? We so oftentimes make up these excuses to ourselves and we're lying to ourselves. And that doesn't help you. I mean, you can lie to other people, maybe that might help you, but lying to yourself, that don't ever help you. That doesn't make your life better. But we always make up these excuses like, oh, I don't have time. I just didn't have time for this right now. Be honest with yourself. I didn't make the time because I didn't value doing this thing right now. Or I didn't make the time because I'm afraid. When you're allowing yourself to be honest with yourself, that's a whole other freedom that many people don't ever get to feel because they're so busy making excuses about why they're not doing what they think they need to be doing because they're just making excuses to themselves. So stop lying to yourself and be honest. And with that, number 10 is live in the present moment, sis. It's so natural to escape to, oh, the future. I'm going to manifest this and life's going to be amazing and woo, woo, woo. But you're forgetting that you're here now. Today's July 4th. Today, live right now, right in this second, in this moment. And on the other side of that, is stop being stuck in the past. Oh, when I was younger, I had this best body. My hair was banging. I had all these relationships and friends. And life was amazing, or oh my God, in the past life was horrible, and it's, I'm living in this victim lifestyle because it is what it is. I can't get out. Like, I've always been poor, so I guess I'm always going to be this. Nah. When you are free to live in the present moment and you're not in the future, living and escaping to what could be, and you're not in the past, living in what was, and you're finally living in the moment here and now. Oh my God, can I tell you the freedom feeling that comes with that and the good? Like, I wanted to do a dance for that, living in the moment. And it's so easy to live in the moment. Meditation is a great way to live in the moment. Journaling is a great way to live in the moment. But it's like, you got to make the choice. It goes back to that number one. You got to make the choice to live in the present moment. Number 11, stop people pleasing. We did a podcast. My girl, Samantha Washington, shout out to her. We did a whole podcast on people pleasing. When you people please, you are not living. You ain't nothing free about you. You are jailed to worrying about what other people are thinking, trying to live up to other people's expectations, and not really living your truth. So it's time to let go of people pleasing and start living you, which leads to number 12, which is being authentically you. Let's be real. If you look at your birth certificate, ain't nothing that says, at least on my birth certificate, don't say it, but there's nothing on your birth certificate that says life was meant to be easy or was meant to be a certain way. But we should all over ourselves and say, oh, I need to be this way, you should be this way, or people shit on you. Like, you should do this, you should live this way, you should be that way. And you aren't living authentically. And you keep your desires to yourself. How often do you, like, let's have a moment. How often have you really desired something? You had the secret wish to, like we talked about, I had a secret wish to be a comedian. But I kept it to myself. I kept my desires to myself because I was afraid what people would say. I was afraid of the shoulds. And you're not living to your full potential because you're not being authentically you. And not being authentically you unapologetically. We run from our trauma and we're not being our authentic selves. We're running, trying to live up into this persona that we feel like we should be living. And that don't feel free. Like, for me, like, one of the things I think, like, not being authentically me was when I had straight hair. I had a perm for, like, I don't know, hella years. I had a perm at 5. My parents were like, your hair is too much trouble. We're permanent. And I permed my hair, and I kept my hair permed, I don't know, until, like, for almost 30 years. Maybe it was, somewhere around there. Maybe 30 years, somewhere around, give or take 30 years. Had my hair permed for 30 years. You do the math. I had my hair perm for almost 30 years, and it felt like it wasn't me. It felt like I was being this person that had to be a certain way because she had the long flowing hair, dark skin, woo woo woo, and it didn't feel authentically me. But when I went natural, that's when I started, in terms of my hair, that's only one small step, but that was how I felt more authentically like myself. And I was running from, and I was escaping the trauma of feeling like I need to fit into what society says is beauty. So yeah, be you, girl. And who gonna check you? Who is going to check you? I always love saying that. My friend Tia Jones always says, who gonna check you, boo? Yes, who is going to check you? Number 13 is free yourself from dis-ease. The real word disease, but if you look at disease and dissect it, dis-ease. Free yourself from dis-ease. How do you free yourself from dis-ease? Make your well-being a priority. We talk about, putting on your oxygen mask being, your form of self-care and your self-love. Making yourself that priority. Setting aside time for yourself or do the things that you like. You set aside time to be everything, to be the perfect mom, be the perfect sister, cousin, employee. When is it time for you? Allow yourself that freedom to enjoy the things you like and put you first. Put on your oxygen mask on first. At the same time, eating healthy and taking care of your body is another way to free yourself from drugs, like all prescription drugs, free yourself from diseases like high blood pressure, obesity, all these different things, that fibroids, like so many different things that we are dealing with because we aren't taking care of ourselves. We're not taking care of our body. We're not taking care of our mind. And also detox from the rest of the world. I'm a strong believer in detoxing your mind. And at the moment, I'm actually in the process of detoxing my body, which is the first time I've ever actually tried to detox my body. I'm actually doing it was supposed to be a 14-day, but I think I'm actually switching to the 28-day like detox. I'm doing this body detox. I'm drinking these teas, which are letting everything flow, and it's freeing my body of different toxins that I've never really paid attention to, because I'm like, oh, I never really thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I store all these toxins in my bodies, and I'm not freeing myself from these diseases that are happening to my body because I'm not freeing the toxins. So when you're able to also just detox your mind, like I detox from social media on a regular basis. I detox because if you think about it, when you're reading social media, there's so much negativity. You're watching the news, there's so much negativity. I feel like at the end of the news, there's like this small clip for, oh, let's say something happy. But 99.9% of the news is like all negative. And so freeing, and that negativity wears you. So freeing yourself to allow some positivity into you, which leads to number 14. Focus on joy and having fun. We take life so seriously, y'all. It's time to laugh. Laughing is healing. Take a break. Take a break. Allow joy into your life. Free yourself from being so serious and having to always work on you. Like we did a podcast, me, myself, and I don't know why I call myself we, but we did a podcast on being a fixer. And I didn't think about it until later on is, okay, I was like, I'm a recovering fixer for trying to fix other people. But I didn't go the other step to think about how I'm always working on me and how I'm trying to always fix my life and always trying to heal from something. Sometimes you need to take a break from it all, including trying to fix yourself and always working your personal development. Take a moment to breathe and enjoy and live in the present moment, which is everything. Going back to number 10. Number 10 was living in the present moment. And the last one, because again, I was keeping this short, is knowing that the revolution starts with you taking the action towards living hella well. Period. The revolution is televised. The revolution is televised by how you show up every day in your life and who you interact with. The revolution is televised by how you're showing up on social media. People are seeing what you post. You're posting your revolution. You're posting your actions or your inactions. And you need to start by just taking action, because it's great to want to be free. And I want to be free, master, but I want to be free and us acting towards being free are two different things. And I want you to know you are worthy. You are worthy of freeing yourself. You're worthy of feeling that feeling when it comes to being authentically yourself, unapologetically, living in the moment, being authentic, not being a people pleaser, being honest with yourself, travel, and all the different things. But it's a choice. It goes back to number 1. It is a choice. So are you ready to make that choice? Or do you want to be free? Or are you still living an illusion? And you're like, I'm okay with living illusion. I like my illusion. Let me know. I want to know. Send me a comment. Write a review. If you want, the spirit hits you, feel free to write a review. Feel free to tell me how you're living free. Feel free to tell me other ways to live free, because I want to know. I want to be free. And that's part of my journey. Every day I work towards freeing myself, freeing my mind, freeing my body. And I know it's a journey. I know it's a marathon. I know it's not a sprint. And it's part of living hella well. So I hope you got something out of this week. Go back to your picnic, enjoy yourself today, celebrate. But while you're celebrating, work on being free at the same time. I love y'all. I'll see you guys next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hella Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hella Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.